Titus, the son of the Roman Emperor Vespasian, who was in command of the 4-month siege of Jerusalem, ordered his entire army to prepare to storm the temple at dawn. A total of 60,000 Roman legionaries and local auxiliaries were eager to deliver the final blow to the defiant but broken city. Within the walls, 500,000 starving Jews survived in diabolical conditions. Some were fanatical religious zealots, some were freebooting bandits, but most were innocent families with no escape from this magnificent death trap. Titus set about reducing Jerusalem with systematic efficiency and overwhelming force. The Jews fought for every inch with almost suicidal abandon. As the blistered and jagged hills sprouted forests of fly-blown crucified cadavers, the city within was tormented by a sense of impending doom, intransigent fanaticism, whimsical sadism, and searing hunger. Yet the rebels were still fighting. Although Titus was proving to be a gifted commander and a popular son of the new emperor, Vespasian's unproven dynasty depended on victory over the Jewish rebels. Jerusalem was, Josephus observed, like a wild beast gone mad, which, for want of food, fell now upon eating its own flesh. The Romans fought back and pushed the Jews into the temple itself. One legionary, seized with a divine fury, grabbed some burning materials and lit the curtains and frame of a golden window linked to the rooms around the actual temple. By morning, the fire had spread to the very heart of holiness. The Jews, seeing the flames licking the Holy of Holies and threatening to destroy it, made a great clamor and ran to prevent it. But it was too late. They barricaded themselves in the inner court, then watched in aghast silence. Thousands of civilians and rebels mustered on the steps of the altar, waiting to fight to the last, or just die hopelessly. All had their throats cut by the exhilarated Romans, until around the altar lay dead bodies heaped one upon another, with the blood running down the steps. 10,000 Jews died in the burning temple. The cracking of vast stones and wooden beams made a sound like thunder. Josephus watched the death of the temple. The roar of the flames streaming far and wide mingled with the groans of the falling victims, and owing to the height of the hill and the mass of the burning pile, one would have thought the whole city was ablaze. And then the din, nothing more deafening or appalling could be conceived than that. There were the war cries of the Roman legions sweeping onward, the howls of the rebels encircled by fire and swords, the rush of the people who, cut off above, fled panic-stricken only to fall into the arms of the foe, and their shrieks as they met their fate. You would have thought the Temple Hill was boiling over from its base, being everywhere one mass of flame. Mount Moriah, where King David had placed the Ark of the Covenant, and where his son Solomon had built the first temple, was seething hot, full of fire on every part of it, while inside, dead bodies covered the floors. Now the rampaging Romans, seeing that the inner temple was destroyed, grabbed the gold and furniture, carrying out their swag before they set fire to the rest of the complex. Titus decided to eradicate Jerusalem, a decision which Josephus blamed on the rebels. The rebellion destroyed the city and the Romans destroyed the rebellion. This final, desperate struggle would decide not only the fate of the city and her inhabitants, but also the future of Judaism and the small Jewish cult of Christianity, and even, looking forward across 6 centuries, the shape of Islam. the destruction was also decisive for Christianity. Jerusalem's small Christian community, led by Simon, Jesus' cousin, had escaped from the city before the Romans closed in. Even though there were many non-Jewish Christians living around the Roman world, these Jerusalemites had remained a Jewish sect praying at the temple. But now the temple had been destroyed, the Christians believed that the Jews had lost the favor of God. The followers of Jesus separated forever from the mother faith, claiming to be the rightful heirs to the Jewish heritage. Christians envisaged a new celestial Jerusalem, not a shattered Jewish city. In the 7th century AD, when Muhammad founded his new religion, the destruction of the temple proved for him too that God had withdrawn his blessing from Jews and bestowed it on Islam. It is ironic that the decision of Titus to destroy Jerusalem helped make the city the very template of holiness for the other two peoples of the book. From the very beginning, Jerusalem's sanctity did not just evolve, but was promoted by the decisions of a handful of men.
Rama Hoya, thank you for your super chat. Thank you, Jacob, for having Dr. Crossan. How can Jesus' world help us face the present conflict crisis at the Temple Mount Al-Aqsa? Love your work.
Yeah, I lived in Jerusalem from 65 to 67, and in those days you could not only walk on the surface, you could walk right into the Aqsa Mosque, respectfully, if you were to, and into the Dome of the Rock. Now, Jerusalem is almost like a great, what would I call it? A test case for our ability to make peace. I come from Ireland. Peace in Ireland was solved by partitioning the country like this. We did it in Korea, we did it in Cyprus, we did it in all sorts of places. How can you divide Jerusalem? You'd have to divide it like this. The Wailing Wall is down below the surface, where the Aqsa Mosque is on the surface. So is the bottom going to be fighting the top? It's like God almost gave Jerusalem a test case to see if it could be the city of peace, because it's not going to work by drawing a line down the middle and saying, well, this part is Jewish, this part is Muslim, this part is that. You'd have to divide it like this. And who owns the top of the mound, who owns the bottom of the mound? So I don't know, Rahama, what helps us, except it's one more example of, if we cannot work out peace, then we are laying the seeds of a terrible future conflict. And in any place in the world, where you have so many weapons of mass destruction poised, at least available, if not right there, but available to make this place of crisis into a proxy war, as is happening in the Ukraine, the danger of a world war is imminent. So I think Jerusalem is just one other place where we can see clearly that our old-time solutions of dividing up east and west, north and south, and drawing a line down the middle, and maybe putting UN peacekeepers on it, it's not going to work in Jerusalem. So I think it's one of the most profound challenges in a small space that we have.
شاء الله